Changing your behaviors when you're starting a carnivore diet can be difficult. Let's break this down with a technique called behavioral activation. Hey, we're Shake and Bacon. I hope you're doing well. So I've been doing this carnivore diet consistently for a few years and on and off before that. So I've lost a lot of weight and I still have some to go, of course. But the interesting thing is I had to change my mindset and my relationship with food. I had to accept the fact that I couldn't keep eating the way I was eating. And I had a horribly unhealthy relationship with food and I couldn't manage it. I had to surrender to the fact I was getting to this point where I was putting on more and more weight, eating that junk food, those carbohydrates and that sugar. I was dealing with a sugar and carbohydrate addiction that was just proving to be more than I could handle. And I finally got to the point where I hit my breaking point. But let's talk about a technique that you can implement in life. And the general essence is you're trying to practice certain behaviors that elicit a positive response, something that would typically make you happy. So here's a weird thing. What about if you're not getting happiness in your day-to-day life? Well, the thing is, if you eventually keep at this, you will eventually get happier. We're going to use carnivore as the example, but there's lots of things you can do to apply this in life. It could be picking up a new hobby. And eventually when you're consistent at it, you get a sense of reward from doing it. And maybe that sense of reward is a new skill that you've picked up. Or in the case of carnivore, it's actually feeling better, losing weight. And you start to think, okay, now I've been doing this for a while. It's not that I don't enjoy eating steak, but I like the effect it has on my body versus, say, living off of all the processed food that you were eating before that. You enjoyed the food, it brought you immediate happiness, but with long-term consequences. This is the exact opposite. It's giving you immediate satiation, really. It's giving you immediate sense of feeling fine. You don't feel bad, but you don't necessarily feel amazing like you might after eating a bunch of junk food because you don't get that same dopamine fix. What you want to do is replace your old fix with a new fix. And eventually when you do it long enough, you're going to enjoy it so much that you're really just going to enjoy what you're doing that's new. I think it's a really wonderful thing to pass things forward. When you've accomplished something and you've gotten good at it, pass it forward, help people as best as you can. And so I got to that point where I was really feeling good. And what that was behavioral activation. I was doing something twice a week. I was making my videos twice a week back then. And I just, no matter what, didn't miss it. For the first year I did my videos, the first 13 months, I didn't miss it. I eventually stopped because I moved out of the country and it was a lot to end my practice as a massage therapist. And it was a lot to pack everything up and move. And I ended up coming back. And joy hasn't been abundant since then. But you know what? Doing these videos has really helped a lot. I really enjoy doing these videos and I really enjoy answering questions and interacting with people in the comment section. There's always going to be the odd jerk, but that just comes with the territory. But overall, it's a really positive experience. And I noticed once before, I got extremely happy doing these carnivore videos. And doing this consistently now is helping to keep me kind of at a level state. And it's nice that I have an outlet like that. Everybody needs an outlet. Everyone needs to manage stress. And you have to do what you find cathartic. You have to do what you find fulfilling. And especially if it's something that's healthy for you. You know, wasting time doing nothing isn't healthy. And I've fallen victim to that. I fall into that habit every single day. Lots of us do, but it's how far you let it go. And the one thing that's going to help is having a routine of doing something that you find upbuilding. Even if you don't find it upbuilding at first, maybe you're getting reacquainted with an old hobby or passion that you used to have. Maybe it's something new that you're trying to tackle. Eventually the happiness comes with that. And then when you start becoming happy in a little window of your life, that can start bleeding out into other areas. And you start feeling that area of your life that you're getting a sense of reward and satisfaction from. It's creating a good feeling. And you want to start just fueling that as much as you can. So now I'm doing these videos 5 days a week, and I'm quite satisfied with that. And I have to admit, it really helps. It's quite a bit of work, but it's one thing I get to do that it makes me feel good. So the one thing you want to do is monitor your behavioral activation. And in relation to carnivore specifically is when you're doing this, you want to monitor how you're doing when you're doing a carnivore diet. Most likely with most of us, it's how we feel and how far into it do you feel good. I always recognize day 4 whenever I went on and off a carnivore diet. Day 4 was when I'd feel that relief in my joints. And then day 7 was when the physical symptoms pretty much went away with food and sugar, carbohydrate addiction. And then after a couple of weeks, probably for the first 4 to 6 weeks, I would just feel better and better each week. And I was like, wow, okay, so you have to pay attention to what you're doing. I didn't realize I was doing this behavioral activation, but anything I tackle in life, I always try and pay attention to if it's helping me or hurting me. Do I feel better doing this? Do I feel worse doing this? Do I feel better in what way? Is it helping me physically, but not so much emotionally? Is it helping me mentally, not so much physically? Is it helping me financially, but it's hurting me mentally? You have to look at everything from your employment to your family life to where you live and the car you drive and all these things, and figure out what is giving you joy and what's not giving you joy, and find out how you can tweak it. It doesn't mean you have to stop those things. It doesn't mean you have to alienate those things from your life. That's not the way you deal with problems. You deal with problems by confronting them, and you have to stop and address how you can make that situation better. And if you can, do what you can to try and make it better. And if you can't, ask other people who've gone down that road that did make it better. And you may not like the answers you get, and maybe it's because you don't want to put the effort in, or maybe it's because you're pointing the fingers at other people. I don't know. But you have to be honest with yourself and monitor your progress, good or bad, with whatever you're doing. So when you're applying this to a carnivore diet, you have to say, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I don't necessarily feel great. I don't enjoy my food as much as I did before because of all the junk food. Let's face it, it tastes great, but you don't feel bad anymore either, right? When you had that food, you may have enjoyed it in the moment, but you felt bad afterwards. Maybe it was emotionally, maybe it was physically. But what you want to do is keep track of these things. Maybe give yourself a little scale before you start carnivore, or before you decide to go really strict with carnivore. Maybe you're already doing carnivore and you're just not as strict as you want. Make a scale of 1 to 10 in different areas of your life and monitor that. See how you feel when you start, what number you're at in these areas, physically, emotionally, mentally, your joints, whatever it is. And week to week, reassess every day or every week. Reassess how you feel. Are you a 7 today? Have you been consistently a 7 in all these different areas when before you were consistently a 4? Or maybe before you were a 10. 10 could be the worst, right? And maybe physically you don't feel much better, but after a month, you went from feeling like a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 with your knee joints, and now you feel like you're at a 4 or an 8. And you can go, okay, it hasn't helped me emotionally. It hasn't helped me with anything else in my life. I'm still in pain, but I have to admit my knees don't bother me as much. The problem we all have with behavioral activation is we answer to ourselves, and it's easy to cheat ourselves. It's easy to just not be consistent with these things. So this is a good incentive to learn how to be more consistent with a carnivore diet. Give yourself a reason to check in with yourself every day, maybe every week, or even sometimes multiple times a day. But you have to check in with yourself, because like any weapon that you're using in your arsenal of weapons, the problem every weapon has is its user. And the problem every diet has, including carnivore, which has its own built-in maintenance program, the problem with it, like anything else, and this behavioral activation, is the user. It's only going to be as strong as you are. And maybe you don't feel that strong right now, but you want to keep in mind you're trying to get stronger. You're giving yourself a healthy stress, and you want to apply that more and more in your day-to-day life. Just start with your diet for now. Start applying this mindset to your food choices, to the way you're eating, whether you're starting or you want to perfect the carnivore game, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Just try and look at it this way. You can look into behavioral activation more, and I highly recommend seeing Kelly Hogan for coaching if you're struggling with carnivore in any way. She offers coaching classes. I usually put the link to her Instagram in my videos below. I think I've forgotten the last few videos, so I'll get that back up there for anyone who needs help. And I hope you're doing well. So take care. Thanks for watching this video to the end.